Me about eating schedules and like what to eat and when to eat. This is all, and I'm not going to like rehash too much of this. So this is all laid out in detail in the recipe for living without disease, or maybe it's the recipe for living free of disease. I forget the title exactly, but it's Agenus' second book. Okay, and he like gives you different eating schedules, a couple general ones, and then a weight loss one. And the weight loss one's a little different. I'll talk a little bit about that. But essentially, the diet in general consists of like 10 to 30% meat, 20 to 30% vegetable juice, 10 to 20% raw milk, 5% fruit, and 25 to 30% raw fat. Okay, so that's, in those percentages, that area you have some leeway. You would get to like 100% of a day of eating of those four or five things. And in the general eating schedules, there's a couple rules throughout, like, spacing out your meat and your vegetable juice. You want to eat, or rather drink your vegetable juice an hour before you eat meat. But if you're going to drink vegetable juice after you eat meat, you want to wait at least an hour and a half, 2 hours to drink that, because it can catch up and alkalize the meat, prevent it from digesting. But essentially, and a couple things that aren't in the book is he doesn't talk about eating cheese right when you wake up, which is something that could be helpful. You may even feel some indigestion. So, eat cheese when you wake up, a couple pieces of cheese maybe, and then do 3 eggs or so. And then you would have your vegetable juice after that, ideally. And you put an egg in that juice, a little honey, some cream, and you drink that. After that, 45 minutes to an hour, you could have a meat meal, okay? And then after that meat meal, 15, 30 minutes, you could have a lube formula. I would say after, if you're going to do a milkshake, I would probably wait 30 to 45 minutes at least. If you're sipping on it, that's probably not, like slowly, it's probably not too big of a deal. But if you're like trying to drink it like a little fast, which isn't great, it might catch up and prevent the digestion because of the cream in the milkshake. Unless you use sour cream in your milkshake, which I do a lot because I buy a lot of cream and it sours always. So, that's another option there. And if you're patéing your meat, you can kind of adjust the times as well, because it'll take like 30 minutes or less for the, depending on what you're patéing, for that stuff to leave your stomach. I find obviously things like a liver or organ shakes. I make that recipe. I got videos on that. That I feel digests and gets out of my stomach pretty fast, because it's like just liquid meat. Patéed muscle meat is a little more robust, right? It's not like cutting a steak and eating it in cubes and chewing on it, but it's going to get out of your stomach a little faster. It's going to break down a little better. It's going to break down faster. So like I said, you could probably shorten those, some of those post-liquid things by 15 minutes if you're in a rush. But it's obviously it's better not to rush things, right? So you got that first meal down, you waited 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and you're doing a milkshake or a lube formula. You could also do more eggs if you wanted to. And then after that, what is that, a half hour? And then you wait another hour, okay? You can do vegetable juice again, right? And then you would wait another hour after that. And then you could have another meat meal. And then probably 35, 45 minutes after that, you could have a fruit meal. If you're eating white meat, you can eat fruit with white meat. So you don't have to space out that fruit meal so much from your white meat meal, okay? You eat that with some fat. I like to eat some fruit with a lot of eggs and cream and milk, maybe a little butter. That's usually how I do my fruit meals. Or I just make a smoothie, right? And then you would have another meat meal. Again, 3 meat meals in a day, ideally. And let's see here. An hour after that, 30 minutes after that, probably. Yeah, you could probably do 30 minutes to an hour after that. And then, vegetable juice at the end of the day. So you'd wait like another 2 hours, hour and a half, before more vegetable juice. And then after that, you could have a milkshake or cream or sip milk or whatever, for the night and go to bed. Eggs are good. You can do those all throughout the day, pretty much before, during, after you eat anything. Eggs are great. And that's something to keep in mind. Personally, well, before I get into what I do personally, the weight loss schedule is very simple. It's very broken down. It's very bare bones. It's basically vegetable juice, eggs, vegetable juice, eggs. And you're only supposed to eat something when you get really, really, really hungry. Like when you get the hunger pain in your stomach. Not pain, but like when your stomach starts to grumble. That's when you would start eating. It's not necessarily timed out. And then you could do small golf ball sizes of meat for meat meals. Or just like one meat meal, like very small at the end of the day. Ideally, you do want to still eat some meat a little bit and cut back on the fat too. So milk, cut back on the milk and how much fat you're eating. Basically, your diet should be 90% eggs and vegetable juice. Probably more eggs than vegetable juice. Because if you drink too much, it might stimulate your appetite too much. But, the vegetable juice will be good. It's a good source of, minerals and enzymes. Personally, for me, sometimes I just eat one meat meal a day. Sometimes I eat 2 meat meals a day. Generally, on the weekends, I do a more full Primal diet schedule. Although I don't always have vegetable juice on the weekends. And, I wake up, I do cheese, I do eggs. And then I'll do my vegetable juice, and I'll have eggs. And then I'll have a little more vegetable juice. And it's like, I'll do like a cup and a half first. And then I'll do more eggs and cheese, obviously, throughout the day in the morning. And then in the afternoon, I have a meat meal. Like, lately I've been having an organ shake because I have all these pig organs. So I'll have a liver shake with a little kidney and whatever the heck else I got in there, that gland. And eggs, a lot of eggs, like 4 eggs, little milk and honey. I drink that down pretty quick, in 15 minutes or so, 10 minutes. And then sometimes I'll take a nap after that. And then 2 hours after that, I'll finish my vegetable juice. It's usually like a cup of vegetable juice at this point. So I do about 2.5 cups a day. And I'll do more eggs as well. And then an hour after that, I'll have my meat meal, which is generally fish or fish and pork. Maybe fish and beef a little bit, or fish, pork, and beef. It's usually that combination. And then I'll eat that with 2 tablespoons of butter, eggs before, during, and after, and cheese before, during, and after as well. Sometimes I'll have I'll do a cheese and honey. I don't do that too much. I prefer just to use the cheese for cheese trains because I eat a lot of fish, so I get a lot of minerals. And I do the oysters or scallops once or twice a month too, which helps. So I drink my milk. So I get my minerals. I'm not really too worried about that. But cheese and honey I do sometimes. But like I said, I like to use that to just pull toxins out of my body right now. I feel like just using the cheese to do that will be better for my body because then my body isn't dealing with all the stuff, all the trash inside my body. It's getting out. So, over time, to maybe rebuild a little better, I would do more cheese and honey. And I do want a better cheese source that doesn't use a processed rennet for the cheese. I feel like, if you're doing the cheese and honey, that might be a little problematic. But, the cheese is still good. It's raw. If you're using it without honey, you're not going to get anything bad from it. It might just be a little less effective. It might be like 95% effective instead of 100% effective. But, $6 a pound, hey, I'm not complaining, right? So that's what I do for eating schedules. like I said. And if I don't do that second meat meal, I do my meat meal a little later in the day, like around 6 to 8 p.m. And I always eat it with fat. You know, I usually try to have some bone marrow, some butter, some sour cream on hand. If I don't have that, I'll eat like 6 eggs at least. Because the eggs, while it's not like a butter or something, it's going to be ready, usable energy for your body. So your body is going to be using the eggs as a more readily available source of fuel than the meat, which is breaking down inside your body. So as long as you keep feeding your body eggs, I think that's going to keep your body fueled, and then the meat can be used to rebuild. Also, if you have things like milk, if you got milk in the evening, that also help carry you over. And mixing the milk and eggs too, if you don't have cream, or making a milkshake as well. You know, hour and a half or so after a meat meal, you know, that will keep fueling your body with fat, so the meat will be used to rebuild and regenerate your body. I guess that's it. I think, you know, if you can follow the eating schedule perfectly every day, that's great. If you can't, then make do with what you can, you know. Don't beat yourself over it because you missed a vegetable juice, or you missed a meat meal, or you missed a fat fueling, or whatever the heck. You know, as long as you're on the diet raw, like 100% raw, you're going to see better results. You're going to make progress. And the eating schedules are a general eating recommendation. It'll help keep you balanced, and it feels good. Like, I'd probably do them more if I was able to. But, you know, I just do 1 or 2 meat meals a day, 2 vegetable juices, and then a lot of eggs, you know, throughout the day, eggs and cheese, and then milk in the later part of the day. It's also the winter, so, you know, about fruit, I tend to eat more fruit in the summer because I'm more active. I'll eat maybe 1 to 3 pieces a day, depending on the fruit, with a lot of fat, you know, cream, eggs, milk, butter, or smoothies. In the winter, I don't eat too much fruit. I eat a couple pieces a week. If I eat too much fruit in the winter, it makes me feel off balanced, and I don't like that. So I cut back on the fruit. But, you know, your body, your needs, your goals are going to be different, right, than mine. But, you know, Autogenesis set the standard there, a nice blueprint for you to follow. So, you know, if you want to follow that and that works for you, great. But don't feel like you can't make changes if it's going to fit your schedule better or your goals better. Just like I said, as long as you're eating the raw foods, you know, don't worry about it. But if you're going to eat, you know, fast food or something, or junk, you know, obviously it's going to slow your progress down. So, for what it's worth, that's what I think about the eating schedules, and a little bit of a breakdown that's in the book. Again, refer to the books, read the books.